Hey everybody, welcome to Bitcoin Altcoin Trading Talk. This is episode 19. Got a special New Year's Eve 2015 Bitcoin Year in Review episode going on for you today, so it should be pretty exciting. As usual, we have Rob Borden from Coinigy.com. How are you doing tonight, Rob?
I'm doing great. Looking forward to our show tonight.
Awesome.
2015 Year in Review.
So am I. And then as usual, we have Brian Beamish, who
Hi, everyone.
I coined him as the mastermind last time.
The first time people can actually see that I'm a real person.
Yeah, we have.
Hi, everybody.
He is not just a disembodied voice. This is
sure, hopefully I look good enough.
Yep, so yeah, we'll jump into it. Got a couple things to mention first here right off the bat. So we've kind of created a little mutually beneficial relationship here with Bitcoin.com. So we definitely want to give them a plug. If you guys haven't seen the new Bitcoin.com, definitely check it out. I'm just going to share my screen here.
New and improved.
Yeah, new and improved. So can you guys see my screen? Let me do this here. Yeah, so they did a really nice job on this site redesign, and they have one of the key things is they have a new forum. So it's actually taken off pretty well here. A lot of posts and good people on this. If you guys are getting a little bit tired of Bitcoin talk, I know the tone on Bitcoin talk can be a little harsh sometimes, and just some shady characters milling around as usual. Definitely give the Bitcoin forum at forum.bitcoin.com a shot. In addition to that, I wanted to say that we are currently rehosting this episode on World Crypto Network on their YouTube channel, which is an awesome channel there. They have about, I think, 4,000 subscribers, which is pretty huge in terms of crypto networks. And so if you guys are watching this on World Crypto Network, you're actually watching the replay. If you want to watch it live, definitely check out youtube.com/Coinigy. And we're encouraging people to actually sign on with the Q&A app. So let me open that up. So if you guys have any questions or comments, I believe we put the link in the actual YouTube description to the Hangout page, and I think we've deduced that that's where you participate in the actual Q&A stuff, or live chat, or whatever it is. Somehow some people are asking questions, that's all I know. And as usual, if you guys are watching, don't forget to like and subscribe. Really helps us out, and it notifies you whenever there's a new show, so that's pretty important.
Yeah. Especially if you're on World Crypto Network, that's really important if you want to see the show live, to subscribe so you get notified.
Yep. And that's that for the suspenseful plugs on the intro to the show. So for this show, we kind of just wanted to do a quick, seeing as how 2015 is coming to an end. It's been a tumultuous yet very interesting and ultimately pretty promising year for Bitcoin. And we just kind of wanted to run through some of the bigger stories. But first, I think Brian wanted to run through a little bit of his new website, so we'll take over there. So Brian, take it away.
All right, thanks, guys. I'm notorious at being a terrible salesman at all this stuff and marketer, but I'll try my best here to be relatively brief about this. My partners, Julian and Stuart, have worked their butts off over the past year, so really working hard to get our new site up and running and sort of looking like, like that website that you just showed, I took a stab at writing websites back 10 years ago with my 1980s website.
Yeah, that one's a doozy.
Me out of it, but we're I think firmly now in the 21st century, and I'm really proud of the hard work these guys have done. Just a couple things that I mentioned that maybe I don't really talk about too much in these shows. We have actually a very active members lounge, of which students automatically get membership to all the different lounge and site features. But as well, we have a very robust community of very active traders that are all having fun. Just posting and charting stuff through the day, having lots of fun chit-chatting away. And a great, it's interesting that you mentioned earlier, it's so important to me that people have a positive mental attitude. And I find that this is a really good incubator for people. They don't get criticized. They can post charts. Maybe their setups are really silly and a veteran would just laugh at them. And, basically we're just kind of just trying to point people in the right direction. And we've built some just incredible traders here. Really, really proud of these guys. I had mentioned, I'll give a couple shout outs. One guy that I think the whole community should keep an eye on is this Da Vinci guy. Pretty smart character, and he's turning into a pretty sharp trader now. He's really active in the alts too, and I think he's pretty active on your site. Like he really likes your Coinigy site.
Yeah,
So,
we've seen him pop in on Coinigy chat a couple times, definitely.
Yeah, he's definitely been around.
I keep an eye on him. He's an interesting character, and he may do big things in the crypto world before he's done. Jonathan, excellent altcoin trader, just slowly going about his business, and he runs a nice blog as well too. So we all know Tim Gravity. He's a pretty popular Reddit and crypto person. He's a very active member in our community. So again, we're very incubator. We're very warm and fuzzies. We want people to feel good, and I think we've got a really nice professional platform.
Yeah, the site's looking great, Brian.
You guys did a really nice job.
It was interesting that before we did the show tonight, we were kind of like, well, maybe what should we talk about for Bitcoin in the year review? And I went back over my blog, and the first blog entry of this new website that we have up is from July 2014. That's only a year and a half ago, and we have over 30 pages of blog entries. So if you want to go and read up about Bitcoin and trading and trade setups and everything, man, we have got that market cap.
If you want to binge learn on some blog posts.
I beg your pardon?
Said you can binge learn.
Yeah, and the bottom line here is we're very active blogging away now. I'm actually taking advantage of tax loss selling in the commodity space. I think the names have been beaten down really hard, so I'm in there buying a bit of silver right now. But of course, we got lots of Bitcoin posts and everything, and we'll talk a little bit about the stuff that you can do. But and we've talked about some of these charts before. But yeah, I'm really proud of the site. I think it's really professional. I think it looks really good. And these are sort of the tertiary things, like a nice members lounge, a nice blog that keeps you updated with, what we're doing on a daily basis. And then we get to sort of the value added side of this project that we've been working on. And keep in mind too that we have all these, we have a crypto portfolio, an only doubles portfolio, and a 401k investor portfolio that we run. So by all means, you're more than welcome. All the trades that we do, we document them in there. But the thing I really wanted to show you guys, and I'm just so excited about, is we finally got our algorithm sort of up and running here. And this is all our own data. We're not beholden to anybody else. We pay for our data ourselves. We own it. We can distribute it any way we want. And what I created on my 1980s website was a very simple algorithm to basically measure stock market performance. And we have fast and slow indicators here. We just got a fast buy signal on the stock market, and sure enough, the stock market's enjoyed a nice Santa Claus rally. So really that doesn't surprise me. As well, at any given point in time, we can see basically exactly where the strength or weakness in the market is based on different sector ETF performance. We track our universes like over 500 issues, all the major country funds, currencies, commodities, index sector ETFs, plus the S&P 500. And as well, right, which is the big seller for you guys.
Get to the crypto.
That's right. Well, I mean, keep in mind, there's a lot of people that trade Forex, right? And, a lot of people that are Forex related, like trading Bitcoin as well. But point of the matter here is we have our algo up and running on Bitcoin right now. And what's really cool is we can either go in and look at the raw data the way that it's produced from inception, But what I also like is we have these just cute little quick charts that Stuart's produced here. And can you guys see? This is just a quick chart that would come in your email. Can you guys see the M's? Right? Can you see an M there? Can you see an M there? Right? Can you see M's in the algorithm? Right? We have a an actual slow sell signal here as well. So the algo actually is just marching along. The platform is doing very, very well. And we're just on the cusp of starting to actually, issue buy and sell signals based on the algo's performance. We're just pushing the finishing touches on it.
That's awesome. I can't wait to see some updates as the year gets here.
Well, the bottom line for the platform here is that, in my opinion, I think that there's extremely valuable information just off of the dashboard that we built so far. When Bitcoin was rip-roaring, it was at the top of our universe, but you can see, relatively speaking, it's fallen off of the scale. You can also see what sectors of the markets are extremely beaten down. It's interesting how a lot of the European and country funds are just in the ground right now. As well as the top performing stocks in the stock market, for example. And we build trading platforms and algorithm portfolio performances off of that. As well, we have just basically on a daily basis, the system hunting for, let's see, there we go, hunting for algo signals on a daily basis. So it's extremely robust. And we're just sort of, we've got all the screening tools now in place. It's just really a question of, and let me ask you this, and for the viewers, right? Can you guys appreciate that each of these could technically be a reason for considering a trade, right? Candlestick pattern, reload zones, momentum indicator, moving average crosses, price structure. How many reasons do I like for people to have before they think about taking a trade?
I believe it's 3.
Right, so in essence, you can literally we give you 5 reasons on a daily basis. If you happen to find an issue that meets these different screening tool criteria, boom, you've got yourself a setup, away you go. So anyway, the point here is that this is supposed to be extremely automated. The process is coming along fantastically, and the site is just humming along. And the feedback that we're getting from the users is fantastic.
That's great. Glad to hear it.
The last thing that I'd mention here is, and actually we didn't do it this term, but I think probably because of the holidays we were a little bit sidetracked. We didn't do a raffle for a seat for the upcoming term. We have, I tell you what, this will be a good proxy for the audience. We've got a show coming up. We'll do another one on, where are we here?
2 weeks from now, whenever that is.
On the 13th. Okay, so I'll make why don't we do a raffle giveaway for a seat to the level 1 program on the 13th.
Awesome.
Yeah, that sounds great.
If you do want to enter the raffle, you're going to, obviously, you can go to our school page. You can learn a little bit about the different programs. Feel free to explore our site at your leisure, therationalinvestor.co/school. It's pretty simple. So you got to go to the site and obviously learn a little bit about what the heck it is we do. And actually, it was interesting. One of our members today, Tim, he found the Reddit. Somebody on Reddit actually posted a question. Where can I find materials for learning the fundamentals to trading? And Tim was like, dude, you got to answer this guy. So basically, I wrote up a nice little answer for him. And anybody watching this show, I don't know whether you can get this feed or not, or how I can convey that. Why don't I put this, I'll put the link to this into the text box here, Will? And,
yeah, I don't know if that's going to show it to people or not, but we can definitely tweet that out.
You can grab it and then throw it on like the YouTube page or something.
Sure.
Can you do that?
Yeah, we'll put that on the YouTube. I'll comment it on the YouTube page.
All right. So That's the deal. And the interesting thing here, guys, is that this term it's stupid busy. I can't believe how many students we have. I'm going to be like a chicken without a head here. But I think it's fair to everybody, to the audience here. We did a raffle last term. Why don't we do this one this term too? So, you know, what should we get them to say? Should they tweet something? What do you think we should do?
That's a good question. Well, we'll have to think about this before the next show, but probably retweets or something like that.
Okay, so the Coinigy boys and I will work on that. Watch our tweets. Watch for the feed if you want to enter in the raffle. If you just want to, you know, I don't know, maybe tonight I'll just put like a tweet out raffle at Coinigy or at Coinigy. That's what I have to do, right, for you guys to be in on that. And just respond to that, retweet, whatever, and we'll enter you into the raffle. So we did have a raffle winner, Johnny. He actually moved to Australia during the school term. But the feedback that we got from him is he was very appreciative of the time that we worked together, and he actually had some really positive comments about the program. So I'm pleased for him.
Great.
So.
Yeah, and I can attest too. I mean, I haven't gone through the entire school, but I've sat through a couple episodes with Brian, or rather, tutorials with Brian. He does them all one-on-one, well, with a group live, and they're great. I mean, it really opened my eyes to a lot of stuff that I never even realized was going on, just in not even just related to Bitcoin and crypto, but really economics in general. So.
Yeah,
really
you just got the crash course in rational investing, didn't you?
Yeah, I got exactly.
All right, so you guys have been given that here, and I'll put the school link out there. We'll get working on that raffle for you for next show. But my commitment is I'll keep one seat open for a raffle winner. And let's see if we can get, you know, a nice good, you know, 10, 20 people entered into the raffle, and see, we'll make this competitive and a big event for our first 2016 show. What do you think?
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
All right, and then by
I
all
know
means,
that'll catch on.
You know, if you just want to take the initiative, you know, the new term does start technically the second week of January. It won't be the first week because I didn't want to do it right after New Year's.
Sure.
So first week of the new term starts up the week of the 11th, Monday the 11th. I do have a, how are we going to, yeah, okay, I'll deal with that. No big deal. But new term starts the week of the 11th, so if you do want to register, try and go in and grab one of those seats because they're going like hotcakes.
Awesome.
Okay,
Looking
so
forward
that's
to
all the plugging I'll do. I apologize for the plugging, guys.
Yeah, we got to get that stuff out of the way.
Okay.
I did want to, if I can chime in, I wanted to show we are working, for those of you who are currently Coinigy users, and really, I guess if you're not currently a Coinigy user, I just wanted to give you a little run through. So we're working on a new website, public website for Coinigy, but I wanted to touch on a couple things in terms of that. So we have some new, kind of a new style, but basically we're going to be publishing our full API documentation in early January, and we have some nice code examples here for you to use. And that's going to be pretty cool, and this is pretty sweet. So currently, right now, we're supporting 38 exchanges, and we have over 1,800 markets active, which is awesome. We're pretty proud of that. And this API actually lets you pull in live trading data on every single market. So basically what you do is in your client, you basically just subscribe to a channel. So a channel would be, for example, like Bitfinex BTC USD trades. As soon as you subscribe to that, everything is going to start streaming into your client live. And you can do whatever you want with that data. You can do live analysis. You know, you can run trading bots, lots of cool stuff. And then speaking of trading bots, we're also offering historical data, which is for sale. So we do have raw tick data on every single market that we support. And we're currently over, I think, close to 3 billion records in our database. just of raw trade data, and then we also have minute and hour and daily open, high, low, close volume data. And then I guess I'll give a little plug for Coinigy. So if you guys, yeah, we have a little placeholder here that's not done yet. If you guys are new to Coinigy, basically Coinigy is a cryptocurrency exchange hub. So what you can do is you can connect your exchange accounts directly to Coinigy, get awesome charting. We have a mobile app that's coming out, and you can actually trade directly through Coinigy. So here's a little screenshot if any of you haven't seen it yet. And yeah, that's about it. I guess we can get into some fun 2015 talk. Hey, guys?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Year in review.
Year in review. So, how do we want to do this? So we kind of wrote up a little list of just kind of noteworthy things this year that happened in Bitcoin and crypto in general. So I guess I can just kind of start reading through the list, and we can, you know, opine if we want to. So kind of we'll start out. So in June, Ross Ulbricht was sentenced to life in prison for his role in the Silk Road. And then correspondingly, some of the FBI agents that were involved in the prosecution actually got their fingers a little bit dirty, and they actually were sentenced. I don't know how long they were sentenced for, but for stealing government property related to the case, which was pretty crazy. You know, Brian, did you know that about the FBI agents and all that fun stuff?
I knew that there was a lot of sort of shadiness, and I thought maybe Ulbricht's case might be thrown out on appeal because of that. Yeah. But I didn't know they got jail time too.
I can't believe that it wasn't declared a mistrial, that those guys were part of the investigation and, you know, witnesses against him, and they were, right. But you know, because they are also, that changes obviously their whole interest in what's going on and, you know, his case and everything. It was one DEA agent and it was one FBI agent.
Oh, is that what it was? Yeah, that's right. I think I remember because I saw a little video on it, and they had the DEA agent was like a Silk Road wizard. Like, he knew how to post everything. I think he was getting a little bit too much in bed with the whole idea of it all.
Yeah.
That reminds me of like Johnny Depp. What's that movie with Al Pacino? Where he was a cop and he went.
Al Pacino. I know what you're talking
Donnie
about.
Brasco. Donnie
Brasco. Yeah, that's right.
It's kind of like that kind of thing.
Yeah. I think though that whole thing actually, in some ways, exposed, you know, the way that Bitcoin is, you know, the blockchain is really actually not anonymous, and that in some ways actually it's even more trackable, because they, you know, they tried to hide what they were doing with the funds that they stole, and, you know, the government got basically like a forensic data analyst to build out this whole map of the blockchain and follow all their funds through this whole maze of addresses.
Yeah.
And found them cashing out at Bitstamp with all the funds.
Oh, is
basically.
that so?
Yeah,
I didn't realize
then withdrawing to one of their personal accounts, basically. So, you know, I think it probably, to some people, like especially in government, that may have been thinking that it offered anonymity to people, it may have changed their opinion, because I think it definitely made that point obvious and clear to everybody.
Right. Yeah, I mean, a lot, at least in 2014, I can say that, you know, the media itself really focused on the anonymity and the, you know, the fact that criminals and perhaps terrorists were using it because it's fully anonymous. But the real issue is, I mean, it's not fully anonymous at the endpoints. I mean, you have to get in and you have to get out at some point if you're converting to fiat. So,
and the difference can be that if you find out an endpoint and you know you can identify it, then you can trace it basically all the way back.
Yeah.
To its origin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if they know addresses that are, you know, Silk Road related or cartel related or whatever it might be, terrorist related, you know, they can follow that, and then they can cut off the endpoints. They can go after the banks who are working with them or whatever it is.
Exactly. So, so kind of, I started off the list with a couple negative things, basically. So it's the Ross Ulbricht thing. The SEC charged Josh Garza and GAW miners, GAW miners, with operating a Ponzi scheme and securities fraud. So those of you who may have forgot, I don't think anybody's really forgot about that if you were involved with GAW miners, but
Also,
that was
the
a pretty big
creator of
news story.
Bitcoin, right?
I believe so, yeah, XPY. Yeah, so. And then in addition to that, Mark Karpelis, Magical Tux himself, he was finally charged. You know, it's interesting because he was charged with embezzlement. And I would have thought there would have been, I guess, more serious charges thrown his way, but maybe there are yet to be. And it's kind of weird because I don't know if they've actually been able to prove anything yet. I mean, I assume they have, you know, in the eyes of the court of the law, but so he's locked up. I don't know how long, but was arrested in Japan. And then, so towards the end of the year, in terms of negative stuff, Craig Wright was suspected as being Satoshi Nakamoto. So if any of you were following that story, it was big. It was on Wired and a couple other major publications. They kind of, you know, some investigative reporters kind of narrowed it down based on old PGP keys that were used by Satoshi. And they seemed to have really honed in and pointed a finger at this guy, Craig Wright, who's down in Australia.
I heard later on, though, that at least what I read was people were like, man, I'm not.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's what I'm getting to. So, you know, for the first day or two, it was like the shot heard around the world. I mean, a lot of people were like, wow, look at this damning evidence. But I believe the next day after the article came out, the Australian police raided his home for an unrelated tax issue. And it just really, that's the craziest coincidence I think ever has happened. But you know, a lot of people have done some forensic analysis, and they really think that he is not Satoshi. And if anything, he was perhaps claiming, you know, trying to plant a trail of breadcrumbs to make you think he was Satoshi, just so it would benefit him. But he did, you know, hold, I think, I don't remember how many, 1 million bitcoins in an account, but I don't know if that was fully verified or not.
Yeah, it might have been $1 million worth of bitcoins, but yeah,
Right.
he had a large sum of bitcoins that he had invested, you know, somewhat haphazardly, I guess some people would consider. So it seems suspicious, I guess, that he would throw it around that easily to some people. But I think there was some things that were pretty obvious, like that he had added stuff to his blog that was edited at a later date, basically.
Right. Yeah, and I even went on archive.org and I tried to find the blog posts and they weren't there. So I don't know how those news articles actually found those old. I mean, maybe they're using a different cache site, but
yeah. And somebody also, I think, determined that the PGP keys were actually created with like a newer version of the encryption software that you create them with than, you know, they would have needed to have been used back then.
Right. Yeah, I think the algorithm that was used basically didn't even exist at the time. Something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that was interesting.
But it was elaborate. If it seems like it was a hoax, and if it was, he started it, you know, a couple years ago, basically, like planning for his unveiling as the fake Satoshi, basically.
Right. Yeah. So I don't, you know, we'll have to get an update. Maybe if any viewers know what he's up to, I assume he's probably, you know,
I think he's MIA,
somewhere.
But I heard he hasn't been seen, basically.
Did he flee then? Interesting.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what I heard. Or read, I should say.
Well, we'll continue to keep everybody updated once we find out. So that's pretty much it for, you know, the overall negative stuff that happened in 2015. Now on to some of the positive stuff. So, or at least, you know, I deem it positive. Some people may view some of this stuff as a slight negative to decentralization in general. But basically, there's been a lot of increasing interest by banks and payment processors and quite a few, financial institutions in the blockchain and Bitcoin, believe it or not, a little bit. But really, the big thing now, the buzzword is blockchain, as many people know. Blockchain, not Bitcoin. The thing is, with banks, I think they're still starting to just realize the real potential of the blockchain, but they're not fully grasping yet the power of the Bitcoin network itself. Save for all its flaws or perceived flaws in terms of transaction volume and that kind of stuff, it really has real power in the fact that it's just so widely adopted and worldwide, basically, and there's really no stopping it. But some notable projects that have been kind of unleashed this year. We have the IBM Open Ledger project that's kind of trying to tie certain banks worldwide together, kind of on a distributed ledger. JP Morgan actually just came out and said they plan to invest $9 billion in the blockchain and robotics. So I don't know if that's 95% robotics, 5% blockchain, or what. But pardon me. So NASDAQ also has been testing a blockchain-based securities settlement system called NASDAQ Link. They demoed that at Money 2020. I'm not too privy to it. I don't know, Rob, if you know any real details on that, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's something almost that's, relevant to Coinigy even and any other business owners out there. But what they're trying to do is basically create like a stock market, somewhat, I would assume, automated stock market for basically stock in privately held companies,
Okay.
such as Coinigy, for instance. So like, if we wanted to sell shares, we could exchange them on Link, and it would obviously keep track of who owned what shares in what company,
Right.
and what their value or price was, and things like that. Because it is something that's kind of difficult. Like, if you do take on an investor in your company, do you just send them some pieces of paper or something like stock certificates, basically, that say that they own some part of your company? And
Right. It's
it's
just a way more secure way of doing things, and it's basically
it's not so
mathematical.
ambiguous, basically, because only recourse an investor would have if we, didn't give him his shares or whatever, is then you have to have a lawsuit and do all that kind of thing, because you're more or less just going on an agreement,
Right.
Who's going to maintain that network though?
Yeah, see, that's what I'm curious about. I mean, I understand, it's more so like smart contracts as opposed to just
Right.
transactions. But yeah, I mean,
Somebody's got to validate
they need miners, basically. So, but you figure that Nasdaq's going to be taking a fee off those transactions, and obviously they're going to try to work it out to where it's profitable, that they basically run a mining network for it, probably distributed around the world, and basically their fee pays for the servers and all that kind of stuff, and
Right.
they make some money.
Yeah, and I was thinking about that too. I mean, what if they were to actually allow the public at large to mine it? I mean, and in turn, kind of even earn a small percentage of Nasdaq's profit or something like that. That would be definitely a good step in the right direction, I think. But
yeah,
I don't think they plan on doing that. I mean,
you could mine Link coins.
Yeah, right, exactly. Well, and that segues into the other thing, which is Goldman Sachs has now announced Settlecoin, which is basically that. I don't know who's actually allowed to mine it or how the mining process works, but they basically say it's for settling securities on the blockchain.
I want to know if that guy at Goldman Sachs who said buy bitcoins at $1,000. I want to know if he still has a job.
Well, we'll see, Brian, because maybe
they're going to rehire him next year.
Yeah, in your analysis here that we're going to get to in a little bit, maybe he'll be fruitful.
Vindicated partially.
Yeah, vindicated. That's the word I was looking for.
Yeah.
There you go.
So,
Well, I suppose one thing I haven't heard you guys talk about was we finally had a stock exchange listed Bitcoin ETF.
oh yeah, we didn't touch on that.
Yeah, the Winklevoss has finally made it to Wall Street. Isn't it? Was it the Winklevoss twins?
I don't think it's their fund that's
No, it
live
isn't.
yet.
Wait,
Their
wait.
exchange went live, obviously, but I think is it
Yeah,
GBTC or something like
yeah,
that?
GBTC. I don't know if these
Yeah.
were the Winklevosses or not, but
No, that one's not theirs.
it's still.
That's a special kind of fund. I think you had to have like a minimum of $25,000 buy-in to get into GBTC. I'm pretty sure, and I think they had a 1-year minimum holding period or something like that.
I'm not totally certain about that. I do know that there was a European Bitcoin exchange. Do you guys remember that? I think that's what was tied to this GBTC. Can't remember the name of that. That's like that's forever ago in crypto land, eh? I think
Yeah,
that
I
was
almost want to say maybe Kraken.
no, it was. No, it's not funny. I can't even remember. I want to say Itbit or something like that. Isn't that it? Itbit or something? Anyway, maybe.
Very well could be it, but yeah.
Anyway, I suppose from a stock market guy, obviously this is what has caught my attention. Eh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought the interesting thing about that too is, you're basically buying a Bitcoin proxy. There's no way for you to actually ever cash out in Bitcoin. Obviously, because it's basically a stock.
At the moment, it's over the counter, which is extremely dangerous. Hopefully, at some point, this thing will morph into being listed on the big board, and then we can start trusting it.
Mm-hmm.
If you look at the trading of this GBTC, is all over the place. It really didn't make any sense. But nonetheless, you can see from the charts higher highs and higher lows. Do we see M's or W's here? We had a big W come in here, beautiful W right in here, and it's just been slowly working its way higher. So but anyway, getting back to what happened in the euro, that just came to mind, so I thought I'd put my 2 cents in there. Sorry about that.
Definitely. So, I mean, 2015 was really a year of kind of the big boys waking up basically to the blockchain and Bitcoin and crypto in general. So, as many people know and remember, the BIT license came into effect in New York State. And that kind of made waves in the industry. So quite a few exchanges that were based in New York either left or U.S.-based exchanges decided not to allow New York State customers. And that all plays into the KYC, AML, fun stuff. But a couple of Bitcoin exchanges actually did try to get regulated and are now, I believe, regulated, under the BIT license, or not regulated necessarily, but licensed under.
I think Coinbase, didn't they go through all the...
yeah, Coinbase did. I have a little list here. Bitstamp also. I believe Itbit as well did. I think they were kind of one of the champions of it.
Well, there's also a couple of places. I think Itbit is like a bank also. They're actually higher licensed than just Bit license, basically, so that they have some more capabilities to do what they want to do. But
that's right. We also saw quite a few more merchants accepting Bitcoin this year, like Microsoft, Expedia, Dish Network, Dell, Tiger Direct, Intuit, Overstock.com, obviously. Interestingly enough, so I've heard some rumors that Tiger Direct is going under, but that's a different story.
I'm noticing kind of a common theme with all of these last, 8 to 10 headlines, which is it seems like Bitcoin and the blockchain in general is basically just trying to find its place, and nobody really seems to know where it belongs or how, all of us are saying, telling the people around us that it's a good technology and that it's an innovation and that we should use it, and I think everybody's kind of trying to figure out, how to best use it, because
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of companies in this ecosystem now. I mean, ourselves included. I mean, a lot of them, it seems like they're just kind of throwing darts at a board, and hoping something sticks. I mean, I guess, kind of luckily for us, I mean, we do kind of have a roadmap and a plan, and we know where we're going. And obviously, Rob and I are hardworking individuals, and we're making this stuff happen. So, but yeah, totally. I mean, who knows where this is going to go?
I mean, if it's a commodity, it's just funny because you wouldn't go and pay for your Xbox Live with a chunk of gold or a piece of property or something like that. But, yet, they're saying that it's a commodity, and then you have banks, trying to basically bastardize it essentially into their own something that they don't even know what it is or what they're going to use it for or how it's even going to help them, but they just know they want to use it basically. So.
Right. Yeah, and speaking of that, the CFTC did rule basically that Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies in general are classified as commodities in the U.S. And that's obviously based on case law because they, I don't know if they sued or whatever they did, they took down a big Bitcoin derivatives exchange. Well, I don't know if they were big, they were a derivatives exchange in the U.S., and they had to cease operations, and in the paperwork, it basically classified Bitcoin as a commodity. The weird thing is, Bitcoin could serve as a commodity, could serve as a currency, could serve as a security. I mean, and then we get into altcoins, and there's just so many variations there. It's really hard to say where this is going to go in terms of regulation, and 2016 is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Much I know. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to finish up with something I found on CryptoCoins News. Basically, the daily Bitcoin transactions in 2015 were 289 million, which is comparable to PayPal, which is 397 million, Square, which is 362 million, and Western Union, which is 216 million. So Bitcoin is now up there with...
Didn't PayPal adopt Bitcoin? Like, aren't they using?
I know they were doing some testing, like on a beta service, and I don't know if it's available yet or not. I do know that Stripe actually now accepts Bitcoin, which is awesome. We use Stripe on Coinigy, and in the future we may switch to using Stripe for Bitcoin payments. Right now we're on BitPay. But yeah, that's a big service. So
yeah, that's probably that's probably what's going to happen, right? Is Bitcoin is there and it's not going anywhere, and now all of these new little what do they used to call them, killer apps and stuff like that. There'll be these services that come along like this Stripe that you talk about.
Yeah.
That will just make using Bitcoin a lot easier for businesses and consumers.
It makes international payments so easy. I mean, we've even used it, to pay people all kinds of times for different things, in different countries, stuff like that. So.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is, just locally here in Canada, our currency has lost maybe like a third of its value here over the past year or two. I mean, the irony of it all, we'll look in a little bit, Bitcoin's value is actually going up.
Yeah.
So from a Canadian's perspective, it's okay to get paid in Bitcoins. I'm making more money.
I did find this headline kind of humorous here about Azure, launching blockchain as a service, because it's just funny because basically in order to secure a blockchain you need computing power, and Azure is cloud computing, so it's not very it's kind of they're just trying to basically sell their own services rather than necessarily advance the blockchain or do anything like that, but they have
it's still interesting. I mean,
cash, so
I know neither of us have actually dug into it, so it'll be interesting to see what that is. I mean, we have to play around with it. Maybe I don't know if it's just like an API endpoint, basically, because I know somebody said that they support Ethereum. So I don't know if maybe there's a way, I don't know, some kind of better interface for you to develop Ethereum apps or something like that. But
I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, it could even be, you know, like something that you, like a VM image that you launch and it has your own coin on it, essentially, of your own blockchain, basically.
Right.
So who knows?
Yeah, I kind of thought by the time all of this ends that every single person that has a social insurance number or social security number will have their own cryptocurrency of their life.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, if you've listened to Andreas Antonopoulos speak, I mean, he that's what he talks about is in the future, Susie and Johnny are going to be launching their own crypto coins, and everything's going to be on the blockchain, and your medical records, I mean, everything. So I really think it's a possibility. I mean, the question is, will it be regulated out of existence, or will it be taken over by patents, which now Bank of America is just scooping up patents left and right for cryptocurrency remittance and a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, you were really concerned about that a couple shows back. Have you learned any more about all that?
No, not really. I mean, I still just know, you know, I've just read a couple headlines that they're still basically filing for patents, and I'm sure it's never going to end.
Yeah, there's just a headline on Reddit today about how Bank of America is essentially trying to patent anything and everything related to the blockchain, basically, and you know we even looked at with patenting how in 2013 they had changed it to be, instead of first to invent or something, they changed it to first to file. So like, it doesn't even matter if you created something first. If somebody else files a patent for it before you, then they get the patent instead. So you know, it'd be really interesting to all of a sudden see the U.S. government try to award a patent on the blockchain to something like Bank of America. There'd be
right, and the other thing too is, I mean, decentralization kind of disallows a single entity to necessarily be sued for that. You know, it's going to be a big gray area.
Yeah.
You know, can you get sued for creating a completely autonomous system that just exists basically in other people's computers? You know, so
yeah.
Should be interesting to see.
I think we've talked about lawyers before, haven't we?
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Yeah, we don't. Maybe the blockchain can make lawyers obsolete somehow. That's a lifelong goal right there.
Well, lawyers are good when they're on your side. So.
Yeah, you only need them on your side to protect you from other lawyers, though.
Ah, very true. Very true.
So,
anyway,
I saw something on TV today, though, about, you know, we've all seen probably the commercial from the 90s about, you know, people laughing at the internet or laughing at computers or email addresses and stuff like that. And, you know, so that was less than 20 years ago. And now I see on the news today, basically the only thing they have to show as content is on video is a screenshot of basically an image I saw on Reddit like 2 weeks ago. So, you know, the internet has gone that full cycle to where it's like completely dominated TV media, and they used to make fun of it 20 years ago. And I'd really like to see, you know, Bitcoin or some cryptocurrency or just blockchain technology essentially make that same kind of leap over the next 20 years.
Right, and I think the thing is it's an exponential curve, so we're not talking 20 years, we're probably talking like 5 years at this point. Who knows? You know, Moore's Law and all that.
I'm sure as technology advances, then the adoption of new technology probably becomes more rapid also.
Just as long as I'm long the coin, I don't care.
Well, you own some of every coin out there, so if cryptocurrency survives, you're going to own the one that doesn't.
Yeah, I don't know which one it is, but I want a little piece of all of them.
So speaking of coins, I think that pretty much wraps it up for our 2015 talk, I guess, and Brian can get into the nitty-gritty on some Bitcoin analysis and predictions and that good stuff. What do you think, Brian?
Yeah, I'm ready to go. I'll just give you my 2 cents for whatever that's worth.
Fire it up. Give us 50 cents, Brian.
Your 2 Satoshis.
Yeah, the guys in the chat, well, we used to have a joke in the stock market. I don't know whether you've ever seen penny stocks in the States, but they can be like kind of like altcoins, 0.00000000001 cent, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you my 2 cents, but current bid is like 0.000000001. Anyway, that's a long joke. Sorry it took so long to get that out. What do I want to talk to you guys about tonight? I think probably, why don't we start off with just sort of a simple overview of what happened in 2015. Very simply put, we started, and people seem to forget this, like we started 2015, the market just face ripped and lost half its value right out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
Just slammed the market down. And what was sad is I remember I had posted at that point that we have what's called the January barometer in the stock market, where we like to follow what happens in January, and it often tells us what the rest of the year was going to look like. And this January of 2015, it did not start off well, did it? Interesting to see how through the month of January, the price did come ratcheting back to almost unchanged, but then backed off. And through the better part of the year, we kind of saw that pattern, right? That big thumping, and then of course we just sort of sat down here. This is a really good lesson for the viewers. Where I had been talking, I first came to the Bitcoin community back here. I had a cousin of mine at Christmas in 2013. We were sitting in, Christmas dinner, yada, yada, yada. And he goes, I was a prop crude oil trader at that point. And, he asked me, Brian, you ever heard of these things called Bitcoins? And that was sort of right in this window, right? Mm-hmm. And we were joking earlier, for anybody who was watching and didn't understand the reference, good old Goldman Sachs came out and basically right here came out with a report saying that they thought that investing in Bitcoins was a good idea. The interesting thing, viewers need to understand is that brokerage houses always put out in the fine print of every single research article that they do that their average investment time horizon is 3 to 5 years. So 3 to 5 years after this date, yeah, I think we could probably see Bitcoin higher. But clearly, anybody who bought into this rally was walking into a trap. And the interesting thing is I had come to the Bitcoin community with, all my, futures trading and all that kind of stuff. And I had just simply said, and now you guys all know exactly what I'm about to say here, but I had simply said that I really couldn't justify buying Bitcoins until we got back down into, what's this zone called, everybody?
The reload zone.
Yeah. So, somewhere down in this area, right? That was 279 all the way up to 468. Turns out we had to go lower, right? This wasn't the bottom. But the irony of it all is that just that simple word of caution kept you out of this nightmare here, right? We often say in the market that the line in the sand, the 78.6, is a really important level. That if whatever caused this rally to begin with, if this is for real, then whoever's running the story will try desperately to hold on to the 78.6. And so that makes it even more interesting how that was the beginning of 2015. And if we think about this 280 level as an important pivot, you can see if we drill down to the lower time frames, where's that chart? Right here. How the market, it really wanted to try and recapture that 275, 280 level, right? And it just couldn't. It just wasn't ready. It needed. This is what we call backfilling. Have you guys ever heard me use that term before? Especially on a lot of our little. Sorry.
I'm not sure if I've heard you mention that yet.
A lot of our little altcoins, right? They come down. And when we get this like spike up here, what do we usually call that spike? When the market's collapsed and then it just spikes back up.
Just like a retracement.
Yeah, or we like to call it a dead cat bounce. I don't know if you've ever heard that term
Yeah, I
before.
have heard you mention that quite a few
Right? Because
times.
a live cat will always land on its feet. If it's a dead cat, then it'll hit its side and it'll bounce off the ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the point here is that I believe that this was sort of the final washout capitulation to try and figure out where the bottom of the range was. If Bitcoin's story was for real, it was going to hold these lows back here, right? This old original consolidation range. And thankfully, it did hold. And I'll tell you guys, all through this period here, the jury was still out, right? We didn't even talk about the Bitcoin civil war halfway through
Right.
the
Oh, yeah, I
year.
forgot to mention that.
Halfway through the year, there was basically a revolt, right? Where part of the community said they didn't want to use the current algorithm, and the other part of the community said, go to hell.
Yeah,
And
I
we
mean,
almost,
it's just in case anybody doesn't know what Brian's referring to, it's
Everyone
the,
knows.
okay, well,
We've been probably arguing about it so much over the last year that we didn't even want to mention it.
yeah, that's true.
all right. So the point of the matter here is, if the market had lost these lows, then I could have very seriously seen Bitcoin's story over, right? Maybe if that civil war had actually played out. I know there was one or two gentlemen I was reading on Reddit and all the different forums that they were purposely attacking the blockchain to see if they could make it crash. Do you guys
Yeah, there
remember
were
that?
some stress tests put out. I think it was coinwallet.eu
Yeah,
made a
I know there
huge
was a
stress
guy that
test.
was just blitzing micro transactions. He was just trying desperately to break the blockchain. So it'd be really interesting to see how that all played out. Me as I'm not going to bill myself as a computer expert by any means.
Yeah, I
And
mean, I can say, I mean, it delayed block times for so long. I mean, so, I think during that time people were waiting up to what, like 3 hours for a transaction to be
yeah,
Something like that.
confirmed. Yeah, I mean,
well,
there is, I don't want to reopen this debate, but there is there is
this is
something to
a
be
year
said.
in review, remember?
Yeah, okay, all right, I'll leave it alone. Go on, Brian.
Anyway, so the point of the matter here is that I believe that, believe it or not, this was not only natural. I think that this is healthy, and it was necessary to happen. This all had to play out this way. It doesn't matter whether it was this nutso face rip, right? And there are probably a lot of people in our community that went through this, right? And as the price went
Hmm.
shooting up here, the market had to
I think
clean
that's
this
where I
up.
sold my first 3 Bitcoins, was right around 230 there.
Okay. Oh, up here.
Hmm.
Oh, nicely done. Way to go.
Yeah,
That's
I
right
think
when,
Gox had a
Rob,
problem.
that's right when you bought your Litecoin, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm just kidding. The point of the matter here, right, is that the market could not rally to new highs here before this cleanup. Now, I would argue here's your dead cat bounce, and then here is what we call that backfilling, right? And that, the bullish resolution, this was the Silk Road resolution, all that, right? That laid the groundwork for the next rally. I would argue that really all this 2015 has done is basically stopped the bear. All right.
Okay.
And I have on the weekly chart here. And for those people that follow, my weekly commodity trend survey that I used to do, simply put, we just follow M's and W's on the weekly charts to give us the trend in any commodity. It's just that simple. So you can clearly see here was that Silk Road resolution. The W was woohoo, bull market, right? And the good part about looking at weekly charts is that this stuff is fairly straightforward. The bad part about looking at weekly charts is that they move very slowly, right? And this is 2 years of our lives right here, guys.
Hmm.
So the point of the matter here is we are finally now starting to make a case for higher lows and higher highs. So, on this chart, I had sort of painted that this was a trading range, right? There was the beginning of the year, the rally peak there was the bottom, that wipeout. And this in trading communities is what's called a narrow sideways channel. You might sometimes see me actually just simply write NSCH, like that. Narrow sideways channel. And there are lots and lots of traders that will just simply say, okay, fine, I will buy the break of the top of the channel, and I will risk to the bottom of the channel. Now, obviously, percentage-wise, this is 50% capital, right? But having said that, a channel is a channel is a channel, right? And this is an extremely wide channel. It's a weekly channel, but it is a channel breakout. Bitcoin bulls go, woohoo! Everybody go, woohoo!
Woohoo! 2016, baby.
Well, and that's just it. Okay, so now let's talk a little bit about, the first image that I wanted to show you was the fact that for a good portion of the year we were stuck in a range. Now, this can be really handy for people who are watching the charts closely. You guys notice that all I did on this bar was I simply measured the bottom of the channel to the top of the channel. Remember, there's the beginning of January 1st, 2015, right?
Mm-hmm.
See how it's right off that high?
Yeah,
there?
that's really crazy how that high perfectly hits.
Right, so the
January 1st.
point of the matter here is that this is basically the top end of the range. And what's really cool is, do you guys see how the market came up to the top here? It kissed it, and then it quickly smacked down. Can you guys see that? I don't know if you can see that or not.
We can.
I
can see it.
Where'd it go? The fact that the market ran up to this level, ran back down, and then, in essence, did we make a new low here? 02? No, we didn't. So, did you guys get far enough along in our program to learn about fractals?
No.
About fractals?
You can give us a crash course today, though.
All right, so a fractal, and the easiest way for you Americans, any Americans watching this broadcast, the easiest way for you to remember a fractal is think of the Empire State Building. Right? You guys all know the Empire State Building?
Mm-hmm.
Right, and we actually call this in charting land, we call this an empire formation, where it looks like this. Okay? Where this would be a topping out pattern, right? And you will get a sell signal if the market trades this next bar, this bar right here, one tick lower than that low. Boom, sell signal.
Interesting.
This is what's called a fractal. And if I extend these out, can you see the Empire State Building?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Rob, can you see that?
Oh, yeah.
All right, so the point of the matter here is that's a nice, easy chart pattern for you to recognize that if we break these lows, that's a sell signal, right?
Okay.
All right, so if we look at what happened on the test of the top of the range here, you see that the market went up, then a big down. So if we had opened up this next bar and went down here, can you guys understand that that would be a failure?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of see the Empire State Building here? It's not the best example.
A little bit, but yeah.
But the long and short of it here is a fail of this level would have been a see you later, right? And instead, we vaulted up and broke out here. You see that?
Mm-hmm.
And what I find fascinating with Bitcoin is that this stuff can happen extremely quickly. And this is a daily chart, right? 1, 2, 3 days, it actually replicated this entire, like, 6-8 months trading range in 3 days to the upside.
Yeah, those were exciting times.
That's how fast it's. Well, do you remember what was the big fundamental event that I was squawking about here?
Was that the government auction?
That's right. On November 5th, we had a U.S. Marshal's office auction off of the last tranche of the seized Bitcoin auction coins from Silk Road, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I find it fascinating that this is just simply a range, right? One range, next range. And look what happened on the way back down. Right back to the top range, and boom, 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 boom. And then it rejected back up. So can you guys appreciate that we spent a good chunk of time in this trading range?
Mm-hmm.
And now the market has established a new trading range.
So you think the market's going to continue to range, or is it going to break out of that?
Well, this was the last. This
Is
was
it basically too early to tell? You kind of have to watch the channel and see what happens?
Well, we'll get to that in a bit. Let's just finish off with the 2015 in review, okay?
Okay.
The last point that I would make, and this should be a really important point for the crypto community, and it should be a really important point for Wall Street. What did the U.S. stock market, and we'll use the U.S. stock market as sort of the world benchmark for equity investing, and equity investing is quote-unquote risk investing. What did the stock market do in 2015? The answer? Absolutely nothing. And this is important because at the same time, Bitcoin actually produced, where's my chart go? A 32% annualized return. That's a big number if we finish tomorrow right here.
Right. Never. You never know.
Everybody, as soon as we finish the show, everybody's going to sell, sell, sell.
Right.
But 32%. That's a pretty big number.
That's awesome.
That's
I mean,
going to
compare that to 2014.
Well, exactly, right? That,
Yeah.
But you got to understand that the public is always thinking backwards, right? When they go into their fund company and their mutual fund manager, their financial planner, whatever the hell you want to call it, and they review with the financial planner. Oh, what kind of assets? What assets did what last year? Bitcoin at a 32% annualized return is going to jump out to people.
That's a good point.
Right? And I wouldn't be surprised if this is going to actually lead to more investing, especially when they look at their 401k plans and they see that the stock market is doing absolutely nothing. Oh, and by the way, crude oil is like down 50%. Gold is down 30%. You know, bonds aren't doing anything. Well,
I got killed on crude myself.
All right. So the point of the matter here is that this is going to speak fairly loudly to the investment world. So that's my finish of the 2015 year in review. I think that, you know, on the better part of the year was in a trading range. We started to put in some nice market structure and very respectable trade location. Can you guys understand that this was down in the RLZ of this range?
Yep.
Right? You can see the W's in here. If we look at momentum and volume indicators, they all started pointing up here. So there were definite trades, and I had lots of people in my room who made lots of money off of this bottom. I know one gentleman in particular basically bought, like loaded up right here. And the irony of it all is that into a very well telegraphed fundamental event, all we did was just replicate the trading range of the year. That's all we did, right? And I would imagine there were probably a lot of people, you know, me and my obsession to sell, you know, half on a double, right?
I think I've heard that a time or two.
A couple times, right? You see that the bottom, right? This bottom is about 250 bucks. And gee whiz, there's 500, right? So I don't think it's a big surprise that, you know, people who did buy were probably net sellers up here as well.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that's kind of just a psychological thing, as in terms of like where these channels are established? I mean, because obviously 250 to 500 is double.
Well, you know, a couple things there. And the investment community loves to work in big, fat, round numbers, BFRNs. You probably hear me talk about that kind of stuff in my tweets and stuff. And $250 is a very big psychological number. So it doesn't really surprise me that the market tried to put in a bottom just below there. $500 is a really big psychological number up top as well. I think that the powers at B who were running this, and I think to all intents and purposes, guys, I mean, I don't mean to be rude to the crypto community, but I think sort of like higher powers are in charge of Bitcoin price action now, whether it be big miners or whether it be, you know, the Oriental exchanges.
Sure. Somebody has control over the majority of the flow of the coins at this point.
Yeah, well, you know, it's probably like a handful of players, you know. I don't think any one person, but if you threw like all of the banks together, my hunch is they probably could move the market if they wanted to.
Sure.
All right. And I think we had a big fundamental event for them to remove the market into. I think it's really important, this pullback, this consolidation right at the old highs. This to me says, look at, somebody looked at this and said, if I get the chance to buy this anywhere in this range, I want in. And the battle was fought here, right? And the bulls won. My hunch is, can you guys see the WE type action here? And then conversely, can you see the ME type action here? And what a coincidence, can you kind of see how this is near the bottom end of the range and this is near the top end of the range?
Sure.
Very similar, like how we had M's up here, W kind of mid-range, M, you know, W east, right? We didn't think, heavens, we didn't have to go all the way back down here. But in essence, I sort of see the same thing developing here, this trading range here, right? Very simply put, you know we're off to the races again. Woohoo, big bull market, if we can break out of the 500 number. Now, I've used Stamp here because I like the Stamp. I think it's the cleanest of all these exchanges. These are the levels that I would reference on sort of like closing basis. Obviously, you know, the Bitcoin futures markets, they went much higher than 500. But my general feeling, if I was a betting man, is I would really pay close attention to this high back to this low. Where is that reload zone? And my hunch is it's somewhere right along this trend line here, right? So I've publicly said that I'm interested in buying Bitcoins, but I don't want to pay these inflated prices right now.
So you're looking for higher lows at this point?
I would. I mean, if we start breaking down through these lows, then that means that we're right back in the shit and we're heading back down into the 200 area. I don't think that's going to happen. You know, 25 years working in experience, I don't see that happening. But if we get like another civil war or some Yahoo decides to attack the blockchain and bring it to a grinding halt, well, you know, that's the interesting thing about life, right? Is you can't write better fiction than reality. Nobody knows what's going to happen. The bottom line here is, with all of these M's here, can you guys appreciate that this low back up to this high, this was almost a perfect reload zone.
Yep.
Right? Reload short. And I was squawking repeatedly about this. We actually had both reload shorts and GAN angles really come in hard here. So this wasn't a bad shorting location if you felt like shorting. But I publicly said, look, I like this weekly structure. I am a Bitcoin bull. People that have followed me, and we've talked about it before, this is sort of my anticipation of what I expect into the halving event. Now we'll talk a little bit about the future here. And as you can see from, and all this was just a market symmetry. I just literally took this price action and drew going backwards and just flipped it around and just said, okay, well, what might price action look like, you know, going forward? And it was interesting, as at this point we were following very closely. We disconnected a little bit, but in essence, that November 5th rally was right on cue off this. Then we had the pullback to test the old highs. Do you guys see this? Right, that's basically what happened here. Right. We've rallied up. You can see how the rally peak was right back up to the peaks, and then it just crapped right back down to those lows, right? That's kind of what I'm looking for here. All right. is I'm kind of looking for one more test of this area, and then I'm thinking we could just face rip higher.
Okay.
Maybe face rip isn't the best word, right? Especially with our alts, we see these silly things.
Right. Yeah. A longer sustained face rip.
We'll call it just a nice healthy rally, right? This is 300, 600. There's another double. Big surprise, right? I wouldn't be surprised if the pros are going to manufacture this double, right? That wouldn't surprise me at all either. All right, now the last chart that I wanted to show you guys was, great, anybody watching the video, great thing to remember. Bear markets usually are about 18 months in duration. So what's 18 months? That's about 500 bars, something like that. This, ironically enough, is actually a very normal bear market. Nothing out of the ordinary. Usually, bear markets take back 80% of the original bull. Remember our line in the sand, 78.6, right? We went a little bit beyond that, but I am very encouraged that the market basically, the bears said, no way, man, you're not going to take back 78.6, and the bulls said, F you, we are. And now we've got, and like if we look at the weekly chart, we've got this weekly structure in here now. So like I said, bulls go, woohoo, right? If we think about market symmetry again, you can kind of see that same behavior, right? This was, ironically enough, this was the first U.S. government auction, or first or second, I can't remember. But anyway, right after that auction, the market just went into a tailspin for quite a bit of 2014, eh? And that was on the heels of all this, right? So 2014 was a year to forget in Bitcoin. 2015, I think, is what we call backfilling, right? Cleaning up the market, establishing a base. We've broken out violently. We've tested the old highs of the range. If she's a bull, right, these lows are going to hold in here, and we move our way higher. This is just a very simple market symmetry projection. I did 200, this original here. 224 bars from this high to this low, and I just said, where's 224 bars? Roughly, that's about here, and if we just go the same distance, that would be here. Can you kind of see the W? And that might form like a monthly saucer bottom. And again, there's our halving event. This, I just eyeballed this, right, and that comes to an end June. Right, I think we're predicting that the market's going to rally into that halving event, which is July, early July. Which is actually interesting because this actually suggests it tops out and then just craps out violently. And guys, we saw that on Litecoin, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's right.
Basically, the halving event
way prior to the event, and then it just tanked.
So I might, and I wouldn't be surprised that we get talk of Ponzi schemes and all that kind of shit as Bitcoin is just churning its way higher into that event, right? And then of course, the Litecoin, it went way beyond
Litecoin just went parabolic.
Yeah, well, we might get that on Bitcoin, right? If we, the simplest tool that everybody watching this video can just bank on, and it was one of the first tools I ever learned as a technician, and it's simply called the 50% rule. And it simply says that markets like to retrace 50% of their previous move. So if we take the high and the low, and we do a 50% rule, gee whiz, there's 657.70. And that just so happens to be right off of this high. So my hunch is, if you're going to use a target heading into the halving event, I think this is a very good target window. All right? Now,
sounds good to me.
We know that markets and Bitcoin in particular, especially with Ponzi scheme talk and all that kind of nonsense, they love to overshoot. And so because of that, I honestly believe that we could get some big, just blow off top run up all the way up to about 775, maybe even 800. Nice big fat round number. You notice that, I'm a big fan of market symmetry. You see the similarity of this action and this action. I've drawn those studies for you guys before. And you notice that big blow off top. What a coincidence. Who's this guy right here? Do you guys remember him? That guy right
61.8.
Yep.
It'd be the mountain man level.
That's right. Way to go, Rob. You're the man. Right. So good old mountain.
Right on crude oil, but still know my crude traders.
Okay. Actually, mountain trades crude. And also, remember we talked about trading range, right? 200% fib extension for me. It's not technically a fib. But it is a very important fib ratio. I can't say that. It's a very important level for me. It's basically just a range extension. Have you guys ever heard of a head and shoulders pattern? All right, a head and shoulders pattern basically is that 200% idea in Technicolor, where basically that's what the head and shoulders looks like. And your target is simply going to be a replication of this distance. This is what's called the neck. This is what's called the head. And your target is going to be just simply a replication of this range below. And so if you see a head and shoulders pattern, you can just simply go boom, boom. If it breaks the neckline, then my target has to be down here, right? So using that same principle, right, that's what the 200% extension level is all about. Markets love to establish ranges, and then when they break out of ranges, all they're simply doing is just replicating the same range up above. So not only did we have 200% extension, but we also had big fat mountain man level there, right? And I believe that the two of these put together was just a brick wall. Bam! You're not going any further, right? I could very easily see the same thing develop off of this 61.8. And it'd be really interesting. Let's just hypothetically, we're going to draw a, just for fun, let's draw a range. There we go. I guess there to there. And let's go, actually, let's go. Too many lines. Which line? How am I using? Oh, come on. Oh, yeah, I'm using this one. Okay, well, let's go off of this one just for hypothetical sake. Yeah, that's, oh my goodness. Look at that, eh? There. So, can you see how 200% and good old Mountain Man are starting to line up nicely here?
Yeah, very interesting.
All right. So, my feeling, generally speaking, is I think that we need to do a bit more cleanup. Right? We've got some market structure up here that's not very friendly. In fact, we could actually argue that this is almost a head and shoulders there, right? Can you guys kind of see that? This high's a little
bit. Yeah, a little bit. So that signifies she's going down.
Well, you know, one thing you learn in my school is there's nothing guaranteed in life. As traders, all we are statisticians. And so, statistically speaking, the odds of you buying down in this range, down in here, and risking against these lows, but seeing a subsequent test of these highs will work. And what I mean by work, let's say 65–70% of the time, right? So we never, ever, ever say that's a lock, because, I mean, that's just life, right? You can't live that way in life, or else it'll drive you crazy. The key here is to have a plan, have a vetted system that you know works 2 out of 3 times, and just keep following your plan, right? And you got to understand, every trader in the world has to understand, you will go through periods where your setups just don't work, and you're like, what the fuck? right? And really, it's those people that can handle when their setups aren't working and they're going through difficulties, and they can make it through those periods to back when their setups are working, or maybe they're getting a little more discipline and following their trading plan a little closer, whatever. Those are the people that survive in trading, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the bottom line, I would say statistically, is if I just simply wait for a nice little bottom, ideally what I want to see, and I doubt I'll get it, but what I'd love to see is just a nice little W in here, then I want to go based on the fact that we've turned the corner on the weekly charts, I want to get in here long. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right. So I think that basically summarizes everything I wanted to say.
Yeah.
We've got some pretty good upside targets heading into the halving event. I think we've gone a little too far too fast here, and I can't be a buyer up here. I just have to wait. If this was an altcoin, it would be the same thing, right? I would just simply draw my fibs and just be nice and patient. We might find that, hey, maybe this floor does fail. If it does, that would really suck, and it would mean that Bitcoin's going to have to take some more time to clean itself up. And if it does fail, if these lows do fail, then next area I'll be looking for a bottom on Bitcoin will be down in here. Okay.
Cool. Well, that's I think we're getting to be about that time. So that was great analysis, Brian.
A couple of things I just mentioned that while I have a couple seconds here. If anybody can show me a coin that did better in 2015, I want to hear from you. But this
Ruby?
definitely got our trade of the year.
I thought Ruby came back down.
Yeah, and even so.
Oh, wow, it's back up.
Was buying down here a good idea?
I would say so, yeah.
You got away with it.
I mean, I have no idea where this thing's going to go, but I defy anybody to show me a coin that did any better in 2015 and has held on to the gains into the end of the year.
Right, that's the key. One.
So that's definitely my star altcoin of the year.
Awesome. Cool. Well, I think we'll wrap it up on that note. Thanks again, Brian.
It's my second largest position still.
Hey, all right.
Yeah. Thanks to your 50 times growth.
Look at those coins.
All the colors of the rainbow, and they're all worthless.
No. It's taking on some earth tones today.
I beg your pardon?
Your pie chart and your bars are taking on an earth tone today. Got a lot of dark greens and browns in there.
Brian's into the secondary colors now.
What does that mean? I don't choose the colors. They choose
No,
them.
we have them basically randomly.
Yeah, we have a palette that it cycles through. So
I like the fact that we went down, we came up, we went back down, and now we're breaking the new highs. Let's see if we can do that in a line chart. Yeah, there we go. Do you see the market structure here?
Damn.
Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, this is in essence a crypto fund. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all good. I'm very proud of the hard work that our boys are putting in. Our school, I mean, I can't believe some of the traders that we're building. Oh, I'm so proud of them. So it just goes to show all this hard work is paying off. I'm so proud of the hard work you guys have put in. I'm so glad that I hitched my trailer to such a pro shop like you guys.
Hey, right back at you. Likewise. I mean, we've expressed this off the air, obviously, but we really feel like you're a really great guy and trustworthy, and that's a huge thing in this industry.
Hitched our trailer, Brian.
Yeah, we hitched our trailers together.
Good. Who's pulling who?
We're going in the same direction, at least.
Oh, good. So, and viewers, the cool part about being long alts, I mean, the irony of it all is that based on our little crypto portfolio, if we had just bought some Bitcoins when we started this and just left them in Bitcoin, I think we would be down. And yet the irony of it all is that over the course of the same period, we've doubled our money. Yeah, so if I had just kept my money in Bitcoins, we'd be down 10.5% right now.
Hey, pretty cool.
As it is, we've doubled our money. Isn't that interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating stuff.
Good
So,
stuff.
I'm super enthusiastic about crypto. I love the stories. I love the enthusiasm of the crypto community. We have so many different angles, whether it be, hey, have you guys bought your water TPs yet?
Water TPs.
Rob, do you know what the water TPs are? I'm surprised you guys
No,
don't know
I
water
don't think so. For some reason, it sounds familiar, but I do not know what you're talking
Because
about.
I think Mr. Water TP is coming back. So I won't tell you who it is. Oh, maybe okay, what the hell. You guys remember this name?
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
I
starting
gotcha.
bottom, right? You notice,
Yeah.
look at that. Look at how he bottomed here, right? And now how he's starting to do the same thing right at the same level. That's interesting. So everybody and their brother was getting ready to live in water teepees right here,
Yeah.
right? So whether it be an arch, whether it be the potheads, right? You want to follow the marijuana people around, chase after their coins.
Yeah.
Whether it be people like Ethereum, right, trying to create whole new networks. Whether it be, I love my little. I won't call them the affectionate name that people on the internet call them. I'll call them poo coins. But we're banging out doubles on some of these funny little poo coins, just having fun. What the hell?
Brian, you can say shitcoin on this broadcast.
I know, but I won't.
It's okay.
But anyway, so the point is it's a lot of fun. We're making, I'm going to say the account balances are going up. Basically, we're on the right side of the trade. And hopefully, hope, people are getting really, really good value out of the information I'm trying to impart onto you guys.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, man, I've learned so much just doing these podcasts with you. I mean, so much.
Good.
So really appreciate it,
We're gonna
and
keep it
hopefully the
rolling
audience.
right into 2016 in 2
Yep.
weeks.
Yeah.
Well,
So.
and now you have this new avenue, the new site. You want to give them another plug? What was it again?
What's it? Oh yeah, Bitcoin.com.
Right. Maybe we can empower a whole bunch of new people over there too.
Yeah, definitely. It'd be great.
Cool.
So,
Well, I'm done. I better be quiet or else I'm gonna get.
Yeah, on that note,
everybody should know we have a directly attributable. There I am. Hi, everybody.
Oh.
Now, thanks to the Coinergy boys, I'm actually a real person. You can actually look at my face now. Hi.
Yep. All right, let's give a nice wave out and say sayonara until
Happy
2016.
New Year. Happy holidays.
Happy New Year, everybody.
See you next year.
See you next year.